We are here with an absolute Arsenal legend, Manuel Eboué.
When I saw Aston Villa in the office, I was shaking because I said, "Wow, Pires was playing on my side, Ruben Pires. So it was fast." I said, "Okay, you." Today, I said to Lauren, I said, "You, I will take your place." He said to me, "Are you sure?" I said, "Look, me, I was scared of Nes Lemon." This guy
really scary.
This guy was very scared of him because he's a very serious guy, you know.
Was that the game that day when you had that bad performance?
Yes, already. Me personally, I knew that today is not my day. He made the
took you off at half, which is something he didn't do that a lot.
I look at him when I turn around. I saw the fans. Nobody, even my teammate, came to support me. It was only Adebayo.
Brilliant video that is out right now, guys. Make sure you check that out. It's out on AFTV. Emmanuel Eboué, ex-Arsenal right back, talking about his time at Arsenal. It's so fascinating. On our special A-list that we filmed over in Sierra Leone. So you can admire the weather as well because they ate that weather here in the UK. I've got Laurie joining me. Hi, welcome along, Laurie. It's great to have you. By the way, we're going to be keeping you up to date with what's going on in that Tottenham game. I can tell you that at the moment, it is Aston Villa 2, Tottenham 0. Aston Villa 2, Tottenham 0. So as it stands, what we're looking at now, there's about 68 minutes gone. Looks like Tottenham's going out, and Ange Postecoglou's I always win a trophy in the second season is starting to evaporate. And earlier on, Liverpool knocked out by Plymouth. That was a big surprise. Plymouth, bottom of the championship, knocking out the team at the top of the Premier League. Laurie, this weekend's thrown up some surprises in the FA Cup, hasn't it?
Well, this is what we talked about yesterday, wasn't it? The so-called magic of the FA Cup strikes again. Who would have thought? I mean, I remember doing a show on DR with Alex, I think it was Flex and Matisse, and we were asked for our predictions, and everyone was saying, 4-0, 5-0, and now look, Liverpool are out. And already some of their fans are trying to sugarcoat it, texting me saying things now. We wasn't really bothered about the FA Cup.
They're talking about winning the quadruple.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, utterly predictable. Now they've gone out. The FA Cup doesn't matter. Well.
yeah. Listen, it was same with Tottenham. They can't fumble this one. This is huge for them. He could get sacked after this, Postecoglou, couldn't he? He could get sacked.
There was a lot of talk before the game circulating that if they got a Tonkin, this could be his last game. So, I don't know. I mean, I saw the first half. They were pretty lackluster in the first half. Villa missed a couple of chances, should have been further ahead, didn't take them. They scored the early goal. And to be fair to Tottenham, in the start of the second half, they were trying to make a fist of it. But they've conceded. Remains to be seen what happens. But if they get a 3 or 4 or 5, it's going to be deep trouble for Ange, I reckon.
Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway.
Sorry?
I think he's a dead man walking, to be honest.
I think he's a dead man walking. By the way, later on, Cecil's going to be joining us as well. Another interesting thing in this Villa game that I've got going on in the background as well, but Villa just had another attack, just blocked off there. But another interesting thing about this game, they just brought on Rashford and Marco Asensio. And they were playing Donald Marlon. That's 3 attacking players, 2 of them on loan, right? And one that they brought in on a permanent. Again, you just think Arsenal, January transfer window, did nothing. Villa, all right, we know they've, John Duran's gone to, Al Nassr over there in Saudi, but they brought in 3 players in attacking positions. Can you hear me, Laurie? Yeah,
I can hear. Yeah. There was a little bit of a technical glitch there for.
Yeah, which really makes when I think about it as well, right? We seem to be losing Laurie a bit there. I don't know if he's back there. The other thing about it, what I think about, you just think to yourself, this is crazy, right? I'm looking at them. They've got a lot of options, Aston Villa, in attack, and we've got a real lack of it. So. And that's what I wanted to talk about today as well, because there is this report that I was reading. I sort of touched on it yesterday, and I wanted to sort of come back on it again today. And remember, we're here every night at 7 p.m. here on AFTV. It's a new thing that we're doing, lives every night, give you guys a chance to have your say. I was reading this report, and this was by Dave Powell, right? He's a chief business football writer at Reach PLC. He said, and these are his quotes, he says, the Gunners are now well positioned to spend big in the summer. The football finance expert said for a period not too long ago, Arsenal were deemed as one of the clubs to be having to be extra mindful of PSR, which of course is the profit and sustainability rules. He then goes on to say, fast forward some 12 months or so, and a return to Champions League football, followed by another year's qualification and progression to the knockout stage, has yielded a strong financial results for the Gunners that will have an impact on what they can and can't do between now and a transfer deadline day in the summer. While Arsenal haven't published their 2023-24 financial accounts yet, the trend that can be expected has already been made known via the publication of the Deloitte Football Money League last month. Arsenal leapfrogged Spurs, Chelsea and Liverpool when it came to total revenue, with that expected to sit at around £616 million, up around a third year on year. That is highly significant, he says. And he said, assuming that the same level of allowable deductions are applied, around 42 million annually, to the current financial year 2024-25, then the forecast is that Arsenal, for the current reporting period that runs until the end of May, could lose as much as 164 million before tax and still be able to remain PSR compliant. That means that Arsenal would have up to 164 million pounds to spend. And I was actually looking into it. They could have even more than that, because when you take into account the fact that there are going to be some players leaving in the summer, players that are on quite high wages. Kieran Tierney, 100 grand a week, he's going to be leaving. Jorginho, I think he's about 100 grand a week, he's going to be leaving. Thomas Partey, 200 grand a week, he's going to be leaving. I mean, they're going to be in a really, really healthy financial position, and they're going to have a lot of money to spend in the summer. Indeed, they did have funds to go big even now, but they've obviously kept their powder dry to the summer. What do you think about it when you hear that news, Laurie? And even though I was thinking about it today, even last summer, net spend weren't that big, because if you think about it, we bought in two players, right, which were Calafiori, and also we bought in, Calafiori and Marino. We bought the goalkeeper, David Raya. We made him his loan move permanent. But the other two signings were both loans. Neto was a loan, and so was Sterling.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot of money, Arsenal.
And even with Sterling, we're only paying a certain percentage of his wages, aren't we?
Small percentage. The majority of his wages are still being paid by Chelsea.
Yeah, so that was a good bit of business in that respect. Okay, not in a playing respect. But yeah, in answer to your question, it's an interesting development, and it kind of speaks a little bit to what I was mentioning yesterday. If you recall, when we were both expressing our disappointment of the lack of activity in the January transfer window, I did say I was like putting on my Arsenal board member's hat. And I think I suggested to you that maybe the thinking in the club is if they can't get the person that they want now, they might save their money, keep their powder dry, and come again in the summer when they can go big and get the guy they really want. So maybe that is why we're hearing this. Maybe that's why the club didn't go for anyone significant. Well, they didn't go for anyone. But yeah, maybe that is the reason why I'm starting. Now that I've heard this, it makes me think that even more, if you see what I mean. Because
they got enough money to go really big in the summer, but they could still have gone really big now. By the way, Villa just missed another chance to go 3-0 up. But they could have gone really, really big now. We've seen, and this guy here, Kevin Ireland, says Zubimendi apparently done deal too, so it will be less than that. That is true that apparently a deal for Zubimendi has been sorted out for the summer. Not finalised yet, but they're said to be favourites. Although I did read where Real Madrid might be showing an interest as well. But I think Arsenal will get Zubimendi. I do think they'll get him.
Yeah. But yeah, in answer to what you just said, yeah, you're right. But as I said before, it could have been that the so-called big targets. I think when I say big targets, I think you're looking at the likes of Isak and Gyökeres, and slightly less so Sesko. So if they're not available, which let's be honest, those 3 guys were not available, then it could be that Arsenal are going to mount a serious bid for those guys in the summer. But the thing that you said that I did absolutely agree with, in the absence of going big and getting the guy you really want, surely you could have brought in a couple of loan deals. Did your due diligence, scout the market, see who's available, and get somebody on loan? I mean,
yeah.
Beyond Arsenal Football Club to do that.
Interested here from James Russell. He says, do you think that Arsenal got good arguments from Isak that he wants to join? Now, this is a really interesting one. If they do have £160 million to spend, and it could be more, remember, that's only just like taking into account the current situation. Arsenal will sell some players, I feel, in the summer. I feel that Tottenham just missed an absolute sitter, by the way, right? Danso, the new guy. I feel that Arsenal in the summer, there's going to be some players sold as well. Zinchenko, who looked like he was on his way out in January, I think he'll go. And I think there could be a couple other players going. Fabio Vieira might go. I think Nuno Tavares, some players like that may be sold, right? Which means they'll generate some other money. So they will have.
Kivior might be one of those that might go.
Kivior as well. Kivior's another one. Now, could they possibly make a move for Alexander Isak? I guess Arsenal are going to be praying that Newcastle don't make it into the top 5 so that they can offer Alexander Isak Champions League football. Because to me, if they can, I think it'd be very difficult for them to get him away from Arsenal, to get him away from Newcastle. If they don't, they're going to have a struggle to keep him because, then teams like Arsenal, it won't just be Arsenal, but teams like Arsenal are going to come into play. But have they? I mean, they did it with Rice, didn't they? All the rumours is that they'd been speaking to Rice ages before they signed him.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Isak will well be aware that Arsenal have got their eyes on him, and I'm sure he's been talking to his agent and people close to him. I mean, listen, no disrespect, obviously, to Newcastle, but Arsenal are a much bigger club. And yes, we are playing Champions League football. And if Newcastle don't get Champions League football in the season coming for next season, that will be seen as quite a big blow for them, because a guy like Isak deserves to be playing Champions League football, right? So, listen, I guess as Arsenal fans, we need to be hoping and praying that Newcastle don't finish in that top 5, because if they do and they get Champions League, that could be a real spanner in the works. But you know what? Listen, we don't know for sure, but I do think if Arsenal wants to make a concerted bid and really throw a lot of energy at it, I do think that they can at least unsettle Isak, give him something to think about, and then I guess it'll be up to him. But we also have to be cognizant that Arsenal are going to be by no means the only club that are going to be interested in a guy like Isak. I mean, Chelsea will be, won't they? They need a striker. And there's a few other clubs I could say across Europe in the same position. But yeah, it would be remiss of us not to go in heavy for Isak, because he's clearly needed. In fact, if you look at the way Isak plays, he's actually is almost perfect for the way Arsenal play. So
absolutely perfect. I mean, Majib says these owners are fooling you again. Wait, right, and stop falling for the constant BS from these owners year in, year out. Absolutely sick of it, and our fan base are lapping it up now. Majib, you're taking this wrong. We're not lapping up anything. I'm just giving you a report of what is being said, the amount of money that Arsenal have got to spend in the summer. Listen, as a matter of fact, for me, it makes it even more damning the fact that they didn't do anything in January, because they've got a lot of this money right now. They've got this money right now, and they can make projections. Because listen, even if you went and spend a lot of that money in advance, it's not like, you're going to have a knock on your door and the guys from the league will say, oh, you've broken PSR rules. That doesn't come into account until the end of that accounting period. So they've got that money that they could have spent now. What this shows, actually, is that they could have paid £60 million for Ollie Watkins. They could have done it.
Yeah,
they could have done it right now. So in no way, if anything, this is not making the owners look good. I feel that this makes the owners look even worse because it shows they're in a very good financial position and they could have went big even right now.
And if I could just add to that, and this is a direct response to Majib, that comment that he made. Listen, Majib and people like yourself who have submitted similar comments, I understand your frustrations, but in a way, it's incumbent upon us as the Arsenal fans to put pressure on the likes of the Cronkies and make our feelings known that we're not happy with the way the club are currently conducting themselves in the transfer market. I think it's important that the likes of AFTV, Arsenal fan channels, fans across the Arsenal football spectrum voice their disappointments, their frustrations, their anger, and hopefully that will get through to the guys in the board and they'll say, listen, man, the fans are not happy with the way we're running things at the moment. Don't you think that's a fair point?
Yeah, of course it's a fair point. DJ Ashby says we could have got a loan deal in and embedded them nicely with the Dubai trip. If it makes sense, we don't do it. And that's a great point. I think with Ashby, we look, there's a game going on in the background at the moment, as I said, with Aston Villa and Tottenham, right? Villa have got 2 on-loan players on the pitch. Marcus Rashford, who ordinarily you're talking about, that's a player who would be going for big money. And also Marco Asensio, who wouldn't be a cheap player as well. Both Marco Asensio, ex-Real Madrid player, on loan from PSG, has been a Spanish international, been there, done that, top player. Marcus Rashford, we all know about Marcus Rashford, even though he's been horrible this season. Those were 2 loans that Arsenal could have got straight away. On Tottenham's team, Matthias Tell, who's barely touched the ball yet in the game, but again, an available loan. We chose to get nobody. So even if we didn't really want to spend any of that money, there's other guys, Moani, who's scoring goals for fun at the moment over with Juventus. There were, even if we didn't want to spend some of that money and kept some of the powder dry, there were loans that we could have went abroad and got. Wouldn't have been able to get the Rashford one, I guess, because we've already got 2 English players on, or 2 players from the Premier League on loan, and you're only allowed to loan 2 players from the Premier League. But definitely could have went in there and bought in a loan deal if they didn't want to spend the money. But as a matter of fact, when you actually look at things, they had the money to go and do Ollie Watkins. They had it. So we're not falling for no PRA. I'm telling you that. Absolutely not.
The Ollie Watkins saga is quite befuddling, actually. I mean, I know there's an argument put forward about, not wanting to spend up to 60 million on a 29-year-old, but we kind of debunked that yesterday. And let's face it, Arsenal were desperate. So that should have gone out the window. But as we said yesterday, Robbie, I think the club have a way of looking at it. They try to balance up the business decisions with the football decisions. And it seems with Arsenal, the business decisions always take priority over the football decisions. And I think that's exactly what we saw with the Ollie Watkins business. They weren't prepared to try and bridge that gap or pay the money. And that was ultimately very disappointing. And it could cost Arsenal, you know what I mean? As we were saying yesterday, man, the season's still got many, many games left. We're in 2 competitions. And if you've not got the squad that's up to it, it's very unlikely that you're going to achieve what you want to achieve. So,
yeah. KD says, big up the Lyle brothers. Liverpool will sell Núñez and we'll go for a number 9. It'll be the end for us in terms of the league. We need to spend 250 million with Sesko as a 9. Listen, Liverpool are also another team that don't like spending. They American owners, they don't like spending. I'm not too sure if Liverpool, Liverpool may want Isak. I'm not too sure if Liverpool will spend 100 million or over 100 million for Isak. I'm not even sure if Arsenal will do that either, if I'm being honest. KD says Liverpool will go for Isak. Listen, according to a lot of the reports of me, I was chatting to David Ornstein about this. He said to me, Mikel Arteta's number 1 player that he wants to sign is Alexander Isak. But they recognise how difficult it is to do. And it could be Sesko. It could be Sesko, the guy that they sign. And we just need a striker. And I know everybody's saying, well, you know, why get Sesko? He hasn't scored loads and loads of goals. Well, nor had Isak before he come to the Premier League. Sometimes you do have to kind of take a sort of punt, thinking that somebody's going to be even better when they come along. But we certainly need a striker, as we can all see right now. I'm going through some more of these super chats. Black Hole says, one tasty deal. Only way we let Saliba go to Madrid is if we get 125 million plus Rodrigo. 125 million we could use to go for Isak. Would still be sad to lose Saliba. I don't want to lose Saliba at all. I think, listen,
I don't think there's an Arsenal fan that does, Robbie, but we also have to be realistic. That
attacking players are always really exciting, but I'm telling you, a good defender, a top-class defender is so, so important if you're going to win things. You know, we've seen over the years, you know, when we were at our best, it weren't just Thierry Henry, it was our defence as well. It was absolutely magnificent, whether it be Tony Adams, whether it be Sol Campbell, you know, these sort of players. You know, at the moment, Gabriel and Saliba. You look at some other teams like Liverpool at the moment, they've got a, you know, we all talk about their attack, but it's Virgil van Dijk and Konate. They're solid at the back. So having a guy that, to me, is going to become a world-class centre-back, I don't want to see him go. I want to see us be building with these players for the future. That is what you've got to do if you've got the big ambition. Prem Reddy says we would only be left with 100 million to buy forwards if at all Zubimendi comes in the summer. Not necessarily, because as I said, Prem Reddy, you've also got to take into account going to sell players as well. They're going to be players leaving. You know what I mean? You're definitely going to be players like Nuno Tavares, Fabio Vieira. They're going in the summer. And there's going to be some more as well. Zinchenko. There'll be players going. So,
I mentioned Kivior. There's one or two reports suggesting that Trossard might move on in the summer. Yeah,
that's a possibility as well. And even when you look on, even as I said, loads of wages are going to be freed up as well, because it's not always just about the transfer fee. Those wages, significant wages when it comes to players like Thomas Partey, people like that, will be cleared up as well. So they're going to have more than 164 million to spend. They'll have way over 200 million to spend in the summer if they want to, right? You know, whether it's financials or is it winning the league. Benji says, honestly, Arteta plays a big role. He's way too stubborn. Where have we heard that before?
But it's interesting you gave us that little nugget there about apparently Arteta stating, it's not on the public record, I don't think, but he's told people, the likes of who's it? David Ornstein, was it you said?
Yeah,
that Isak is without doubt his number one target. I think we're going to find out how soon we'll find
out how serious they are.
Yeah. The other thing I would say about that, Robbie, is I would have liked the club to have been a bit more transparent to the fans in providing an explanation as to why we didn't get anybody. Or is that remiss? Or that, I mean,
well,
the reason why I say that is because it was such a disappointing window. I think it would have been right for the club to issue a short statement and explain why we didn't get anyone. Arteta did explain why we didn't get anyone. He said basically they couldn't find anyone that they thought was suitable within the prices. Well, I think that was in response to a question he was asked at a press conference. I would have liked to have seen him provide a statement from the club to say
they're never going to do that. Never. You're never going to see Arsenal issue a statement as to why they didn't buy a player. You're never going to see that. Let's get a couple more super chats here. We've got Cecil coming in as well. Kusa says, I think there is something deeper here. Edu leaving so abruptly is suspect. I don't want to speculate, but we needed an attacker last summer, and I'm wondering if the Cronkies held Edu and the team back.
That's something we spoke about yesterday. I remember at the time when Edu left, I was quite vocal, and I said on shows, and some people actually gave me a bit of stick.
By the way, Tottenham just got a goal back, Mateus Tell.
Oh, right.
There you go again. A player that they brought in on loan.
How much time is left?
Mateus Tell scoring.
How much time is left in that game?
There's about 4 minutes. They're into added on time.
Right.
But Mateus Tell getting his first Tottenham goal on loan.
Well, you see, that's what happens when players come in and they can impact the side.
Exactly. You know. Grant Ross, by the way, says, why are you both not in Dubai with the team? You deserve a break. All of those sign no one dailies, lots of great content, but the club are not on the same page. I wish I was in Dubai. I'm telling you, I wish I was. Not to see players, just to chill, right? And Josephine says, question for you both. Would you trust your manager in any industry if you gave him nearly £700 million to spend in 5 years and only one trophy 5 years ago? Kroenke does not spend. Listen, but then, you know, he's taken a team from absolutely nothing to challenging. So if he's then asking for extra money to like now try and get over the line, you've got to give it to him. You've backed him this far. You got to give him to him. And this one come from Mr. Captain. Says, happy Sunday to a great man. Bless up to Laurie and production. Let's get Cecil in. Cecil's waiting in the wings. Let's see what he's got to say. How you doing, Cecil?
What's going on? Just watching the rest of this game. I switched it off and loaded up to think, do you know what, this game's done now? Then they bloody Tottenham go and score.
Yeah, so Matthias, it was about three. What am I looking at now? About 3 minutes left.
Yeah, 3 minutes left.
About 3 minutes left. You know what? It's funny, right? Because everyone's going on about Arsenal. There's a lot of fans of certain clubs that were really, really giving it to Arsenal for going out of the FA Cup, right?
Yeah.
And now they've all gone quiet. Namely, Chelsea fans. Very, very quiet after their really poor showing yesterday at Brighton and them going out. Liverpool fans going out today to the team at the bottom.
Yeah, AGT.
Right? AGT saying to me, it don't matter. When he was, a couple of days ago, he's talking about winning the quadruple.
Yeah, I know.
So, and Tottenham, unless they can get a goal back, they've got a free kick here. Unless they could get a goal back, they could be going out as well. So,
yeah, you're spot on there. It's funny. So many big teams, the bigger teams coming out after they had so much to say with us. And it's Spurs. Listen, I was enjoying my Sunday. They kept cutting to Ange and him with that glum face, just head down. I honestly, that's my favorite image when he's just head down. And then when he does his interviews, he just looks at the floor. So I'm just like, I'm praying. 2 minutes left and they hold out. You're right. Spurs have a corner, but a free kick.
His post-match interview will be quite interesting if they lose.
I hope he looks up. I think it's very disrespectful, this whole looking down.
It is. And I'll tell you what else I've noticed about him. He can be quite brusque when he gets questions asked. Have you seen the way he responds?
Brusque? Hold on, what's that? Brusque? What's that?
Rude.
Why don't you just say rude then?
Okay.
Your brother is...
big words, man.
Brother, it's like a lesson.
Brusque.
Lessons with Laurie, man.
Where did that come from? Brusque.
Listen and learn, people.
That sounds like a nice braised pork dish, bro. About
brusque. Brisket. Like brisket.
As my mum used to say,
crispy bit. That's the crispy bit you take off your meat.
On the pork, the flavour. I'm always saying, yam that.
He's acquired. There you go. Acquired. He's got a reputation for being quite short of his answers. You know what I mean? I'm with you. I think it's quite disrespectful. He doesn't look at the camera. He's quite sharp in the responses. And let's be honest, as a manager especially of a top flight team like Tottenham, you have obligations to the media and the press. And you know what I mean? That's part of the show, my friend. You have to give these interviews after the game, win, lose or draw. That's it.
We've got about 20 seconds left from what I'm watching it here to save this game, Tottenham. Yeah, or he could be giving another one of those interviews, and it's Villa that are on the attack at the moment, and it's Marco Asensio just running he didn't just run it into the corner. He did it very smart there. Oh, they could have scored 3. Let me just see this out to the end.
Sorry, people. Yeah, this is
they nearly scored. They nearly got a 3rd goal right at the end, but the game has finished, and Tottenham Hotspur are out of the FA Cup despite a late Matthias Tel goal. Tottenham are out.
They could have scored them.
Out. So they're out. Chelsea are out.
Liverpool
are out. I'll tell you what, United now, they're in a good position. And they were so lucky, United. That offside goal. Miles offside, by the way.
Flex this fan cam. I'd advise you go.
I watched it.
He was so angry. Just like he's papering on the cracks.
He said he's not being fooled by that. He goes, he's not being fooled by and for the first time, somebody having a go at Ruben Amorim.
Yeah, good.
Saying about his tactics and stuff like it ain't easy.
Yeah,
but you know what I was saying, Cecil, right? I said to Robbie yesterday, the fact that Man United are still in this competition is amazing when you consider that we didn't beat them. I mean, they're a poor side and we played them at home. And I think it's quite damning on Arsenal, the fact that we couldn't beat them.
Yeah,
I
agree.
I agree. You know what I mean? I still can't. I was at that game as well, and I still can't understand.
Yeah, Laurie, this is what happens in the FA Cup because Plymouth beat Liverpool today.
Oh yeah, that's also another big one. But we're poking fun at other teams, but we are also out of it as well, which is
we're out. We're out. Listen, we're out, right? And it doesn't soften the blow.
It doesn't.
For us being out because we're out, but then it makes it a little bit more better.
Yeah, the house are
these guys, Chelsea, Matisse, and all these Chelsea fans, and these Liverpool fans were all giving it like that, and also Tottenham fans, and they're all out. They're in it. They just got out a couple of weeks later. You're still out.
I actually predicted Brighton to beat Chelsea when we did the DR show earlier.
You consider that Brighton lost 7-0 last week. That was probably a poor one for Chelsea again. Let's get some more super chats going there. Curtis is around. Curtis says, question to the lads of Sovereign Sound. Would you sack Arteta this summer if we go trophyless?
I'll go first with
that's
that
you
one.
two, Sovereign Sound. That's you, man.
Yeah.
I want to get your opinion as well, though.
Well, no, I wouldn't sack him. No, I mean, the only way I would sack Arteta is if he fell out of the Champions League places and the trajectory of the club was starting to go downhill fast. Then clearly there's big problems and you have to address that. But if we continue to challenge for the title and we get a good Champions League run, if we are trophyless, that would obviously be very disappointing. And I can understand why people would be asking certain questions, but it's not as easy as that, just sacking the manager, as we've seen with Man United. I mean, if a really good manager came on the horizon, it would be remiss of Arsenal not to look at that. But I don't think you would sack him just because he didn't win a trophy, no.
What about you, Cecil?
Was you Sovereign Sound first, man?
Answer the question.
It's interesting. Firstly, listen, the board aren't going to sack him. Let's just make that clear. That's not going to happen by the end of the season, which is that's the first thing. But would I sack him? I mean, I've said on record that if we don't win a trophy this season, it always obviously context as well. If we fall out, like Laurie said, if we fall out of top 4 positions, or we drop out of Champions League in the next round, shamelessly and embarrassingly, then yeah, I mean, I think it's right to sack the manager. I just don't have an answer who comes in first. It'll be a case of, and I always say it's up to Arteta's standards. This is what it's down to. At the end of the last season, said he shouldn't be happy with second place. This is the 5th year of the process, and all these things that we were kind of not promised to say, but we bought into, because this is a long time. And I've always been a person that doesn't like the sacking of managers culture. Like 1 year in, sack him, half a seat, sack. I used to hate that. But if we look at it, Arteta's had a long time at Arsenal, had a lot of time, spent a lot of money, and if you don't bring silverware after the 5 years, which you kind of, you've set a time frame for, I think you can definitely question a manager. And I wouldn't argue with people that would want him sacked. I just don't think the board will do it. And me saying, listen, if it was my choice, I would, if we haven't got a trophy, because I think we need to get over the line at some stage. I think the squad.
You would sack him. You would sack him.
Yeah, I think if you don't bring a trophy, at your own standards, this is what you demanded.
So if Arsenal don't win a trophy this season, you'd sack him.
Yeah. I'm not going to be going screaming Arteta out, though. I'll be there still backing my manager, and I don't think the board will. But I'd say,
So you wouldn't be screaming Arteta out, but you're happy to push other people up front to do your bidding.
Listen, I would never call for a man's job. I'm just saying, I wouldn't argue with the people that are saying it, especially if we haven't got a trophy when we drop out of things. And
what about what other people say? Well, I want your opinion. Yeah. So what would you?
I like Arteta. We need to see
see
trophies. Yeah, I said it. I've said it.
All right. JJ says no striker.
What about you? Hang on.
Yeah, Robbie, where are you going?
I'm going to give you my opinion. It says no striker. Arteta out. Abysmal versus Newcastle sack. So we know what he thinks. Personally, I'm kind of like with Laurie. For me, it depends on the trajectory of the rest of this season. If from now on till the end of the season, a bit like what you said, Laurie, we got knocked out of the Champions League badly. We didn't finish in the Champions League places, or just about scraped it and went completely downhill. I would be thinking about sacking him, because I'd be like, you played a big part in us falling off because you didn't do anything in January. and you didn't get that striker in the summer. But I think if he does qualify for the Champions League and makes a good fight of it from now till the end of the season in the league, I wouldn't sack him, because you do have to take into account the fact that this season, by any manager who would have come in at Arsenal, would have been quite a difficult season with the amount of injuries that Arsenal have had, the red cards to players in certain games and stuff like that. And the fact that we are still second in the league, we're still, in the Champions League, we finished third in the group. I know we're all, because, a lot of us were expecting that this could be our year when we win the league. So I think that's why people are being particularly harsh on him this year. But the reality of it is it's very difficult to win a Premier League. It's not easy, right? Yeah. And he's been challenging in the league. And that's been challenging with, would Liverpool be in the same position if they were missing like Salah now since December, if they would have been missing, Van Dijk for a portion of the season, if they would have been missing, certain key players like, a Gravenberch, the same amount of period that Odegaard was out, if they would have had 4 games that they were down at 10 men. You do have to take these things into account. You can't just, it's too easy to just say, you didn't get a trophy, sack him.
Yeah.
Right?
Last season, though, we didn't have that many injuries.
And then
Last season we didn't have that many injuries, and we
missed out on we missed out on the league by 1 point.
2 points, yeah.
2 points,
I hear you.
Right, to Manchester City, who, by the way, right, have won it 5 times out of the last 6 years. It's not given that you're going to overturn a team like that just like that, right? So I think people have to. I don't know. I've been watching football for so long. You have to get into perspective sometimes. So for me, where I'm really angry with the whole Arteta thing,
the signings,
is the signing, the summer, the lack of the striker. I was cool with the other signings, the striker, and then again in January, I'm like, what is this? Give yourself. That's why I have to wonder, Cecil, if that's him, because I'm like, give yourself a chance.
While we're talking about signings, I'd be interested to hear what you guys think. So, during his tenure as manager, I think it's 5 years plus now. He signed 31 players apparently. And do you think overall that he spent that money well? That 750 million that people like to talk about so much.
Yes, he has, apart from a striker, Laurie. Yes, he has, because he's taken the team from, we used to finish 8th. We used to dream of finishing in the top 4. Let's have it right. Let's remember where we were. We used to dream of finishing in the top 4. Yeah, that was it. Maybe getting an FA Cup run. And he's taken us the last 2 seasons, the last 3 seasons, if you include this one, that we are actually challenging. I always used to say, I want to see this club challenging for the league. FA Cups and these little cups, they're fine, but the bread and butter, what you do week in, week out, is the league. I want to see us challenging for this. He's got us there, and he's made signings that have got us there. But, why hasn't he not signed a striker?
I think just quickly, let me jump in here. Listen, when we say like that question, big up Curtis, is a strong one. When he sound like sack the manager, it sounds strong, but we never take away from what he's done for Arsenal. No one's taken the fact, like you said, we're back challenging. I'm so happy for that. But my fear, again, it is the windows, but it's also on the fact that these top players that we love, the Salibas, the Sakas, I know you guys did a live yesterday about Real Madrid making him #1 target. I know that's been kind of shout out from Arsenal, but like these things are if we're thinking, yo, the manager, can he really get us over the line? Players sometimes think that as well. And I don't want them to feel like this is getting stale now. So when I say end of the season, if you haven't won anything, you want a new fresh ideas,
you can see the players, though. You can see the players really
playing for him. No, they're playing for him. But
they play for him. They really, that's one thing we can't fault.
That is definitely true.
I think the thing, if I could just jump in there, I think the concern that a lot of fans are voicing, I get stopped in supermarkets and various places by fans. And when that whole Arteta subject comes up, a lot of people will say, listen, he's done really well to take us from where we was to where we are now. It was 8th, 5th, and 2 second places. Yeah. Yeah. However, some people are saying, more than a few actually, they're saying that that transition between being competitive and actually winning things, they're not sure if Arteta can bridge that gap. That's what a lot of the fans are saying.
Yeah, well, I think it's a very valid thing to say, but you know, I just don't think it's as simple as saying if he doesn't win a trophy this year, sack him. You know, I mean, and you know, you talk to somebody like, you know, I remember when I was put that to Yardman, and I said, who would you bring in? He said Mourinho.
Yardman's going mad at the moment.
You bring Mourinho in. That shows me straight away that I mean, not even Mourinho was at Tottenham, and look what he did, right? So you know, the Mourinho of back in the Chelsea days, mate, I could hear you on that, but you know, so
you say that, Robbie, but who knew about Arne Slot before? Well, when I say knew about him, no one knew that he was going to have such an immediate impact.
Nobody thought he would. You know what I mean? But we do have to remember. We do have to remember that he's inherited a very, very good side. You know what I mean? He inherited a side that was challenging for the league last season. People keep saying to me, Liverpool weren't challenging. What are you talking about? They were. They were challenging for the league, right? They came third in the league. They were challenging for the league, and then they fell away. As a matter of fact, you know, when they really fell away is when Klopp came out and said that he's leaving.
Yeah, in fact.
And then they started to fall away. They were challenging for the league last season. He's come in and he's inherited that team. He didn't inherit a team, you know, that was a poor side. He's inherited Salah, inherited Van Dijk, Konate, Gravenberch. Don't get me wrong. He's done a brilliant job. He's got the best out of these players again. He's made them go again. You know, Trent Alexander-Arnold and that. And, you know, but Liverpool were challenging. And Liverpool have always been a team over the last, 5-6 years that have been challenging for the league.
Which is fair to say. That could be the same with Arteta. Sorry, Laurie, that could be the same with Arteta. Like, he's got us to a point. We've got good players. It's not a bad team. Arsenal got a good squad.
I guess my point to Robbie is it's very easy for us to say, "Oh, who's out there? Who's out there?" There's always somebody out there.
Like I didn't say, but I never used the word "who's out there." I've said that.
Okay, I'm
saying that when I put it forward to people, sometimes I say, "All right, give me some suggestions." People find it very hard to come up with some suggestions, so that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
is there the obvious person? I mean, you give me someone. Give me. Laurie, you give me someone obvious that you could think of.
Well, first, I'm not advocating for Arteta to be sacked.
Secondly, but all right, I know you're not, but just give me a name of somebody that you think could come in and do a great job right now that's available.
Right. So, so look at what someone like Iriola's done at Bournemouth. Are you telling me that if he came to Arsenal, he couldn't do a good job?
Who knows?
That's what I'm saying. So sometimes you have to take that gamble.
I don't know though. He's quite similar to Arteta. They both come from the Basque country, the same style of play. He hasn't grabbed. I'm on at campaigns for Iriola, so I'm not going against him. He wouldn't. I don't think he comes in and elevates.
Remember the start that Ariola got off to.
Yeah, the fans would. A lot of people saying he should get sacked. Facts. Why did you get rid of Gary O'Neill and that? That's why So, fact, but his style of play, bring young people.
I guess the point I'm making, Cecil, is that there's always somebody out there.
Yeah, there's always somebody. But are they going to improve? Are they going to make it better? Is that the step to take right now? I mean, Cecil, can you think of someone that you'd now?
I mean, I know people mention Zinedine Zidane and all that, and I'm just like I hear things like that.
Zidane's turned down practically every managerial job. Man United wanted him. He says he doesn't want to come to England. Let me get into some more super chats here. Harvind Hakashan says Tottenham just had the cup pendectomy this week, right? Listen, they're win a trophy in his second season. I mean. Oh my days! Sturp says
they might do. They might. They're still in the Europa League.
Europa League. They're not winning that. Not with him there. Sturp says Curtis got the sovereign mandem sweating. Abu says small margins. We're miles from Real Madrid. Yeah, but we're I'm talking about in the league. Everybody in this league right now, apart from Liverpool's, miles from Real Madrid. You've only got to look at.
Wait, in what league? Sorry, what in the champ? What's this?
It says we're miles from Real Madrid. Actually, yeah, in the Champions League, we finished third in the group stages. Real Madrid streaked into it. Overall, yeah. Josephone says Willian, Marquinhos, Havertz, Jesus, who's not a goal scorer in his own words, giving Nketiah the 14, Trossard, Fabio Vieira, who didn't even recall with an option. Is this good, Robbie? You're wrong. Well, you haven't named out some of the other signings that he's made, like Ben White, right? Thomas Partey. Yeah. What about some of those signings? What about who am I thinking of now?
Do you think that Thomas Partey's been a whole success though?
Only because of injuries, but he's been when he's been fit, he's been a very good signing. And he didn't know he was going to get injured. When Jesus and Zinchenko came into Arsenal, they completely transformed the team and got us challenging for the league. All right, maybe they may not be the guys now, but they completely. Am I wrong? Do you guys not agree with me that those?
By the way, I wasn't coming for Thomas Partey when I said that. It's just that when you look at it like objectively, he's been at the club 4 years. He's had a lot of injuries. He's having a great season this season. But I'm just saying, over the 4-year period, has he been an unqualified success? I think that's up for debate.
Gabriel was already, Saliba was already here. Gabriel's another signing, isn't he?
Gabriel Magalhaes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So why don't, when you send that in, why are you not naming out some of them?
I think I saw a caption the other day which suggested that since Arteta took over, he signed something like 31 players. And the article that I was reading was saying 8 of those, only 8 of the 31 you could class as real successes. So I think
someone in the comments just said that.
That's what I saw. I don't have the article in front of me, but I remember reading it. 31 and only 8 good ones or something like that. This guy's saying 33.
But you know what, Laurie? You could say that for most clubs. You could say that for even City. You know, I mean, they've made some, you know, even when you go for a lot of City signings, like even looking at the game yesterday, that Nunes, even somebody like Grealish has not lived up to, you know what I mean? So, you know, I'm saying that when that guy is naming out those signings, the signings he have made have got us challenging for the league. Declan Rice, you haven't named that one. You know what I mean? It's
ironic about it though. The only trophy
Odegaard, I think he made permanent as well. He made permanent.
Trossard, by the way, Odegaard's another one as well. They brought in Trossard. Has been a good signing. Trossard's not the answer as a striker, but Trossard, who's come in, has been a good signing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's interesting though that obviously Arteta's only won the 1 trophy since he's been at Arsenal, and that team that he took over, none of them are still here, and they're the ones that's won him his 1 trophy. That kind of ironic, really. I'm not suggesting it. I'm just saying that's an actual fact. But hey,
Comin Sedlada. Sorry, he said Goldbridge until the end of the season. What position we're going to play him? Joseph Phone says, I'm talking about forwards. Oh, forward signings now, yeah? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Right. Prem Ready says, who would be the ideal backup goalkeeper for the summer? By the way, that's another good signing he's made. Raya.
I don't know. Raya. Is he battering though? Because we'll probably end up signing the freaking backup goalkeeper. OW8447 says, hear me out. Sell Saliba for 110. Odegaard for 60. Odegaard. I wouldn't be selling Odegaard. Sign Williams, Zubimendi. Use the sales to sign Wirtz and Isak and spend 50 million on Guehi. Bigger jump in levels. I wouldn't be selling Saliba at all. We've got a top quality player.
Might not have
I wouldn't be selling Odegaard either. No chance.
Do you not think Isak's coming? Do you lot in the summer? Like what Matty said about, we could get Champions League football. He's not going to stay at Newcastle.
I think
they're not getting him.
I think if they have a chance of getting him, they'll have a go. But there's no guarantees that they'll get Isak. And I more see them getting somebody like a Sesko, right? Because Isak, I think if Isak became available, I think they'd have a go. The thing is, Isak will be very expensive, as we know. I don't
120 grand a week as well. Now,
I don't think Isak will go for 150 million. What all they're saying, I think it'd be more like a 110 or something like that. The market's changed a bit now. I don't think no one's going to be. I mean, you saw players like Osimhen and that last summer, who scored, in the Italian league, scored more goals than Isak. Had a bigger impact than Isak because he helped Napoli to win the league, and they couldn't get the 110 million for him.
Yeah,
right? Not like he's an old player.
Now.
Sorry?
If you want, I've got the signings. If you want me to read them out very quickly, I could. It's up to you.
No, he's moved on from that now. So to me, with Isak, I think.
Declan
Yeah,
Rice
I do think
was rumored, Rob, though, at one.
I think it'd be more a Sesko than
Yeah.
Isak because of the fact that it's going to be such a if they get into the Champions League, I don't think they'll sell Isak because then they're going to have a lot of money coming in.
But do you think, okay, so if they go for Sesko rather than Isak, then to me that's a slight contradiction of what the club are saying then when they're saying they're going to go big in the summer. Because I would say
going big in the summer doesn't mean they're just going to get one player, Laurie. And and by the way, Sesko won't be cheap. He's still going to be like 60 million. So they get, if they get Sesko 60 million, if they get Zubimendi 50 million, if they then go and pick up a couple other players, that is going big. Anything going.
I'm not sure if Sesko's going big. No disrespect, I don't think so.
No, but it's the other signings on top of it.
No, but the whole signings collectively is going big.
Even if we get Zubimendi and Sesko, to me that's not going big.
No, they'll get
Laurie, that is going big. I mean, people, if you look at all the reports, people just said that Man City just went big in January. They didn't buy no player for 100 million, right? I mean, they've bought like Marmoush, nearly 70 million. They bought that Kursanov 30 million. But it's how much money you spent.
Yeah, okay, you're talking big in terms of okay. Because to me,
big in one signing.
To me, going big is either Isak or Gyökeres or one of them, man.
So you mean going big on one signing?
No, well, that sort of headline signing that's going to get everyone excited. If you see what I mean, it's going to get the fans rushing to the shop to buy the shirts. I don't see that with Sesko. With no disrespect, I'm sure he's a very good player. But Isak, yes, I do see the excitement. I see Cecil doing a video, dancing. You know what I mean? I said,
if we get Isak, bro, I'm backflipping around the whole bloody Emirates. I'll tell you that now.
Kaiser Frank said, "Hi guys, with Germany facing economic stagnation, industrial decline, and social unrest, how crucial will the upcoming federal election in 2 weeks be in shaping the country's future? Don't know." Because we're not German. Somebody said, I'd argue if 4 refs hadn't experimented with us, we would be top. So ease up on the man. Harvin Daskan says, just 5 seasons ago, we were close to the relegation battle and losing the Europa League. Now we are challenging for the Premier League and the Champions League, all without an experience in managing in the top flight. And Black Academic says, is 164 million enough? The market is expensive. Who do we get? There are few strikers in the market. Also, Spurs should sack Ange and hire Sol. I'd love to see that. Listen, 164 million is a lot of money. If they've got that to spend in the summer, that is a lot of money. That'd be more than the majority of clubs in Europe will spend. So
here's a downside about that. Once clubs know you've got that type of money, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to inflate the price of the player that you want. It's only natural that they do that. So even that is a bit of a double-edged sword. You know what I mean? So, but listen, it's up to the club to sort these things out.
Yeah, 100%. Here's this one as well coming from Prem Ready says, would you sell Martinelli for 60 million and get Nico Williams for 45 million, triggering his release clause?
I think that's a very good question.
Martinelli, I think Martinelli is going to be vulnerable to be sold at the end of the season. As much as they love him at the club, the Arteta loves him because it's not just his attacking work; it's the work he does off the ball. I wouldn't want to sell Martinelli.
It's more trust. I swear his contract's due for next summer, and also he's refused to. He's saying he's refused to sign this new extension. Trossard, that's those rumours of that.
And he's still ongoing his contract. And they may hold on, Laurie. They may sell him.
Talking about Martinelli, there's a school of thought that says he's hit his ceiling. What do you guys think about it?
I just think I think he can get better. I just don't think he's had a great season. And then, you could argue, we're all saying Nico Williams. Martinelli scored way more goals and had more goal contribution than him this season.
He hasn't been good at the moment this season. It's just the Euros that highlighted him a lot. Go on, carry on.
Napster says, pray for a Donald Trump takeover we can all get to make Arsenal great again, Caps. Listen, we need more than Caps. And we need more than Donald Trump. We need a striker. That's what we need.
Money and a striker. And some silverware, please. Please, Arsenal.
Yeah. Albert says Arteta should, in games, just let players play their game. Far too much micro control. Hence his ideas run out when we go behind. He will fail to get a title. Challenging is his limit. You know what? The thing that really annoys me with Mikel Arteta is that the way he plays, the control he has and all that, makes Arsenal a very difficult team to beat. I don't know who's turned up this speaker there. Laurie, you turn yours down.
No, I didn't turn mine up.
Can you?
Yeah.
Right. Mute your thing.
I think you've got echo, Rob. I swear.
No, it's not me. Mute your microphone there, Laurie. Somebody's got their mic. All right, that's it. Laurie's muted it now. Right. So what was I saying now? The way in which Mikel Arteta structures the team and that makes Arsenal a very difficult team to beat. Very difficult team to beat. And you can see that in the fact that even this season, when people don't think we've been at our best, we've only lost 2 games in the Premier League. The problem that he has, apart from the injuries and that we've had this season, we lack that striker, that killer in front of goal that would have turned a lot of those small margin games into wins, which would have meant probably we'd be like 3 points behind Liverpool right now instead of being like possibly 9 points behind. And that is what I don't get with Arteta, with the board, it's so glaringly obvious, especially with Saka being out.
It's interesting,
and even with Saka being
problems as well at Arsenal as well. But there's also word that there's creativity problems as well at Arsenal, that we're not creating as much as we used to. So there's an obviously, listen, the chance that we are creating aren't good enough. They're not being converted good enough by like the likes of like Kai Havertz, whether it's the Trossards and Martinelli's. But that is also another issue, I think, with Arsenal. But the main thing is, like you mentioned, is just getting a striker. But
with such a difficult game to beat, such a difficult team to beat over the last few seasons, Arsenal, even against the top sides, we don't lose a lot of those games in the Premier League, do we?
That's correct.
Before, I remember like we used to
lost the Big Six.
I remember before we used to like lose to all the top teams. We'd lose home and away to City. We'd lose home and away to Liverpool. United would beat us away. We'd lose to Chelsea, but we beat the smaller teams. But now we're beating everyone, and we're not losing to those big sides. But the problem, as I said, we draw too many games.
Correct.
And that shows you that the lack of a striker, that player that flips a margin, a small margin in a game to a victory. Look at Liverpool today. No Salah. They lose that game, right? If he's playing, maybe he's the guy that's got that extra bit of quality that flips that game. You see Chelsea at the moment. They're suffering because they don't have a proper striker. So they'll have games, they dominate the game, don't win it because they don't have a striker, right? Whereas you look at a team like City, they're winning games they shouldn't win sometimes because they've got a good striker. Same with Newcastle, same with Liverpool.
Well, they normally have the players that will step up. Like Cole Palmer's not a striker, but he's one of the big players that should be stepping up. We had Bukayo Saka.
What did Cole Palmer? Palmer didn't do. What did he do yesterday? You need a striker.
But even a big player, Saka's a big player in those moments, but he's out as well.
They've got Cole Palmer, we've got Saka, we've got these guys that will step up, but I'm on about the striker is the guy that sometimes when it's really tight, when those guys have been marked out, when they've been double teamed, and when you may only get one chance in a game, that's where you need your top class striker, and that's what we don't have. Let me do some more super chats here.
We need a quality attacking options. Look at Aston Villa, Rob. They got I wouldn't say one main striker, but they've got good attacking playing options, which we really suffer with. Anyway, let's go.
Ramin says, why is Arsenal notorious for not buying at the right time? Mr. Kaplan says, Mighty, can you all do it in and out on all of our players? I'll have to be on another show because we're coming to the end today. Joseph Phone says, Robbie, why are you dismissing me? I'm only simply naming forward signings. What's our problem? The forward line. Thanks to Cecil, at least you get it. You said signings at first, then you came back and said afterwards forward line. We haven't signed a striker. On that, I agree with you, Josephone. But to say we haven't made good signings and just to pinpoint the bad ones, I think you can do that literally every club going. Prem Ready says, Robbie, I still feel we could win. I still feel you could win your bet with Havertz scoring 20 goals. I feel he could be crucial in the remaining games. Well, listen, they all started to go when they found out he scored 14 goals.
10 goals, 15.
Right, they're all trying to switch up now.
10 goals.
Trying to find evidence that they can't find that I said it was Premier League when I said 20 goals for the season. Ramin says, what Arteta has done is to put a competent midfield-like player who is excellent at controlling the ball in defence, mid and attack. Love watching us play. And this is going to be the final one. Mohit says the best chance to sign Isak was when he was at Real Sociedad. Sesko will service a need. Look at Salah. He scored and assisted 34 out of 56 of Liverpool's goals. That just goes to show you do need a striker. We've come to the end of the show today, guys. I want to thank Laurie and Cecil for joining me. Don't forget, we're here every single night at 7 o'clock live with a chance for you guys to have your say. Tomorrow, we've got the Vice Premier League show coming out at 7 o'clock. Always a lot of fun, that show. So make sure you join us there. And then we're back again Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, right through to the rest of the week. 7 o'clock every night with a live show. And also, don't forget to watch that video we did with Emmanuel Bowie, me and Cecil over there in Sierra Leone. Absolutely brilliant. Make sure you check it out. Once again, thank you very much, guys. By the way, just before I go, who's going to win the Super Bowl tonight? Cecil?
Chiefs, I think. Mahomes. That's all I know.
Sorry?
That's my limited knowledge.
I think the Chiefs, they're going for the three-peat, aren't they? And they got Mahomes at quarterback. So, yeah, I'm leaning towards that. I'd like to see Philly do it, though. But I'm leaning towards the Chiefs.
I'm going for Philly, man. I want Philly to win it. Remember Cecil was at their stadium in the summer?
Yeah. Oh, what is that? What is that? Where it's
Philadelphia Eagles. That's where we watched. That was Arsenal versus
what was that?
United, wasn't it?
Field. Wait, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Is that where they play?
Wasn't that Arsenal versus United there?
Yeah, I think so. Please
Philly.
correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah,
Philadelphia. Yeah,
no,
Liverpool we played there.
Liverpool and a financial.
Yeah, played Liverpool there. Yeah. It's a nice stadium, man. Nice town, nice city, Philadelphia. I'll go for Philly, man. Bring it home, man. Bring it home, right? So I'm actually going to watch that later on. So
what time is that on? What do you mean you watch that later on? You got a busy day tomorrow. What are you talking about?
I'm going to. There's some event on tonight where they're showing it, and like it's got all themes, around the Super Bowl and stuff like that. So I'll be at that later.
Right, so no transfer daily. This is what my man's done. This is
listen, man. I've earned it, man. I've earned it. You know what I mean? I'm going to take the Super Bowl in.
But anyway, to the Cronkies.
But by the way, I saw this debate going on today.
Go on.
Which is bigger, Super Bowl or the World Cup final?
But we're biased. It's World Cup final for me. Anyway, I will never not. The biggest moment is bloody the Super Bowl freaking halftime show. I don't care. It's the World Cup. It's the World Cup. It's the World Cup. I don't care what anyone says.
It's got to be the World Cup. But I do like the way the Super Bowl with the halftime show and they turn it into this massive event.
Yeah, it's the show.
To me, it's the World Cup. You've got to be the best team in the world.
In the world, yeah.
Super Bowl, you've got to be the best team in America. And they still call you world champions. So, but it's a great, like you said, it's a great event. The halftime show, Kendrick's on it this year, So, guys, just make sure you stay humble. You know what I mean? See you later. We are here with an absolute Arsenal legend, Emmanuel Bowie.
When I saw Aston Villa in the office, I was shaking because I said, "Wow, Pires was playing on my side, Robert Pires. So it was fast." I said, "Okay, you." Today, I said to Lauren, I said, "You, I will take your place." He said to me, "Are you sure?" I said, "Look, me, I was scared of Yes Lemon." This guy
really scary.
Yeah. This guy was very scared of him because he's a very serious guy,
Was that the game that day when you had that bad performance?
Yes, already. Me personally, I knew that today is not my day. He made the
took you off an half, which is something he didn't do that a lot.
I look at him when I turn around. I saw the fans. Nobody, even my teammate, came to support me. It was only Adebayo.